Hello and welcome to the Wildlife Osteopath Diaries. Now, if you watched our last video, which actually was about the Animal Therapy magazine, you'll know that I gave a little bit of spiel on that to say watch out for the next episode, which is this one. Because what I've done for this one is I'm following one of the cases that we saw, and she's an unusual patient. She was an inmate of the hospital, and she basically came and stayed and was to spend the rest of her life with us. And what I've done with this one is, first of all, I looked at her purely from an osteopathic point of view, but then we brought some of the other technology in, which I promised that we would do on this channel. And that technology is infrared thermal imaging. So please watch the video, see the osteopathic side, and see how thermal imaging can be used to help assess what is going on with the individual in a much less invasive way than using standard assessment tools. Now, Scylla has been at the Wildlife Hospital for many years, and she's now 28. This is her partner Bobby, who came in somewhat later. He's a younger bird, and these are literally rehomed birds. They don't make good pets. And you see Bobby's on the left. He's a male. See his stance. Now, Scylla is older, and her centre of gravity, or a centre of mass, is slightly further forward. And what we were most worried about were her hip joints. And safest place to be with these types of birds is where I am, behind them, or slightly to the side, where the gentleman who's feeding her is actually the most dangerous place, because these birds can kick forwards. And you can see Tim in the background, he's the vet. And we were going to do a mixture of osteopathy, injectable anti-inflammatories, and just sort of see if we could improve the quality of her life in her latter years. And we're just feeling I'm working around the hip joints here, just trying to very gently alter the resting state of some of these muscles, just to help her to move more freely, but not to lose the stability that she's got. And this just shows you some of their makeup, and you can just see the very dense feather patterns that these birds have. And Tim just wants to listen to her heart, make sure everything's okay before we do the injectable, or he does the injectable part of the treatment program. And you can see this is very much an integrated approach, where we're blending osteopathy with standard veterinary care. And Bobby obviously keeping an eye on things, and you can also see a South American rhea there as well. And these are all discarded pets. Bobby's on the left, you can see how they normally walk, and Scylla just slightly like an older person, really, slightly more stooped. And you can see that she's more base narrow with her legs and planting of her feet, and this is characteristic of an older bird. Now, for Scylla's second treatment, I wanted to bring in a new piece of kit, or new piece for YouTube, not to me. And here we have a high definition thermal imaging camera. Now, these cost the same price as a family car. They're not a clip-on to your phone. These are scientific instruments. And if we look here, you can see me filming Tim the vet with his face mask on as he's breathing. And this films in high definition for video and high definition for stills. And here's a still of Scylla from the right hand side, and then from the left, and you can see slight differences in the temperatures in her legs. But let's watch her move. So this is filming her out in the paddock, and what we want to do is just see how she can move and how the blood circulation is down into the tops of those legs. Don't worry too much about the distal end, the lower parts of the legs, because birds can control their blood supply further down. They can shut it off, or they can pump blood to it as needed. And that is always really important. So just watching her move and comparing that with Bobby, so the younger one, and you can see how he moves and how much warmer his legs are as opposed to Scylla. But we'd expect that. He's about half her age. And here's me just using the camera, and so the camera captures the infrared, the heat coming off, radiated off the body, not reflected, and that's what makes these cameras so blimmin' expensive, is the fact that they can read down to points of literally fractions of a degree centigrade. And then once we've done that, we wanted to assess her again and actually do a little bit more treatment. And what I wanted to do here was actually feel her hips as she moved around a little, and I'd just oscillate, so rock her very, very gently to feel the quality of those joints. And very, very amenable. She never used to be like this when she was younger. I can tell you she was quite a handful, but she seemed to quite enjoy the treatment. And just comparing and chatting with Tim, and to assess, levels of anti-inflammatories to work with the osteopathy. Now Scylla did really well with those two treatments, but age wasn't on her side, and as with most birds, when the time comes, it comes very quickly, and that was no exception with Scylla. And so she sadly passed away very peacefully, but she did at least enjoy a fantastic life, and we helped, along with the vets and the rest of the staff, to make those last few weeks much, much kinder on her than they could have been. So this whole episode has been dedicated to her. She was a most amazing emu, and I was privileged to be a little part of her life. So that's it from this edition of the Wildlife Osteopath Diaries. Please tune in for the next one very soon. Take care.